Good afternoon, Professor Diane Hamilton. This is Noah Rodriguez, getting ready here for my second presentation in sunny Arizona. I appreciate your time, Professor, but I will go ahead and get started on the benchmark organizational design structure and change presentation. I have here select an organization you're familiar with and review one of the 8 dimensions where they can improve. I basically went with my old job, the Vanguard Group. A neat quote is to help the savvy investor help people become more savvy investors, right? Just a quick background is the Vanguard Group is they offer accessible, diversified investment options at minimal fees. A core mission is to take a stand for all investors, treat them fairly, and give them the best chance for investment success. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And as mentioned, one of the 8 dimensions were when I put in time for them. I'm very happy that I did, learned a lot, but I did struggle here and there as a retirement professional, right? I will help people move their 401ks or choose what type of investments they will like in their retirement plans. Of course, to some technology could have been upgraded, right? Now it does depend on the company. At my time there, certain businesses, if they wanted to do a rollover, it was by mail. So the just to get an update, it will take 7 to 10 business days to get started with a rollover, or sometimes make changes within your account. So that's why I chose innovativeness, is as a lot of times a corporate structure, because that's how the business was set up. That's the only option they have, is there's no digital transfers, no other type of way to move money besides letter by the mail at times. So what kind of ramifications and consequences could that have if you don't keep up with the trends and maybe let other businesses, right, get ahead? Is that removal of these barriers, especially maybe in like new developing markets, is up to policymakers and multinational institutions. So as I mentioned, the corporate red tape a lot of times may hold that back, but once those are updated, the idea is that things can be changed for the better. A consequence is that customers may leave the business and find a faster, more streamlined service. So Fidelity Investments, right, they are another investment company, manages funds, and they sometimes offer a digital rollover or digital transfer, right? That will take 2 to 3 business days instead of 7 to 10. And investors may find that more attractive, and they will take their funds from one business to the other. So in a sense, Vanguard can lose money in that way. Now, but as always, Vanguard does a good job to update their investors. So Vanguard has warned investors that U.S. regulators could restrict its stake in companies within certain sectors, forcing it to use workarounds that would incur additional cost and risk for some index funds. So thinking ahead, they are trying to find the best way to find the most cost-effective approach towards their investments. So effect of organizational structure, design, and culture. Now, even though some digital platforms are outdated, they have a strong sense of culture. So they've been around since 1975. They are owned by their funds, so that they're not a private company in a way. They're almost publicly owned, right? Vanguard is a company that seeks to serve the greater good, though. They embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion as core values, and they have the highest ethical standard. So that is something I'm very attracted to, and I'm happy that I put in time for that company. And I'll go ahead and go to the next slide. Now some setbacks, right? Because as I mentioned, they're a little outdated, and people will voice their frustrations like, hey, I want to upgrade or do this faster, right? Is that some agents will leave too. So I remember my time when I got licensed as a Series 6. Some colleagues will let me know just to go to the next, to go to a newer company, let Vanguard pay for my license, but to leave them. So I was conflicted at that time because I was very grateful that Vanguard taught me was everything about financial success. So I decided to stay. Right, happy that I did. I still learned a lot. But there are different sections within Vanguard. There's a retail investor, right? For personal investors, anyone can join. And there's a 401k group, right? For retirement companies and corporate structures. And I work there, and sometimes there's bickering back and forth because of outdated infrastructure. Now, the embodiment of conscious capitalism with Vanguard is that they always give back. That I just remember my time with them. They were very good at treating their internal employees and external customers great. No matter who you are, right, from the CEO to the janitor, they're all treated with extreme respect. You are a person, an individual. And but more than anything, you learn the laws of finance. You learn how to take care of your dollar and stretch your retirement. And I'll go ahead. Improvement plans is that I have a little picture of a skeleton in an old phone, because that's what sometimes it feels like. It's like we have to wait. This is an infrastructure that was laid out years ago, and because of the difficulty to upgrade, they just leave it in place. So there's a lot of senior members that work at Vanguard, and there's a lot of new, younger generation that are tech savvy, that I'm pretty sure there's their new focus of Vanguard. So that's the idea, is to hire a younger workforce and hopefully improve the digital infrastructure of the company. A challenge, though, of course, is that, young, old, ethnicity wise or whatever, smart, this and that, digitally smarter, ethically, smart, is that there can be conflict between those different age groups. In my time, I did have a more senior leader, and my senior leader had troubles with digital platforms, and but I was very aware of that, and so I found it a way to collaborate better with my seniors is by teaching them how to use Microsoft Excel and all those digital tools that we have available. So we learn in different ways, even though they weren't too tech savvy. They taught me all the laws and rules and regulations of the market, of FINRA and the IRS. So it's all give and take. As long as you collaborate, it can work out. Now, of course, by staying transparent, making good ethical decisions, right, it can help. Just in case if you make a mistake, they hopefully cover you after. But some strategies, right, for leading teams and collaborations. What I remember is that we had potlucks or outgoings. They're a little outdated too. It's funny, but we don't do that as much, even though I'm no longer there. Uh, but it does help create collaboration, that give us the time to sit down and breathe and communicate with one another if there's any areas that we lack in or we can improve on. So it's by connecting certain implications on business brand behaviors of being collaborative and kind to each other, right? So more transparency can be better for business between the brand and how consumers and people react to one another. But it was a good memory that I will bring tamales from my restaurant to the business, and they loved it. So it was a good memory. So the Vanguard Group, a good example is that a big boat is hard to navigate versus a small business. They are savvy and they can do changes with little change, or restriction. But overall, the business is good, right? And they have success. They can take those, small savings and invest with Vanguard. So it can be like a mutual relationship. And in the end, even though I'm no longer with the company, I do see myself in the future investing with the Vanguard Group. So a funny example, one of my old leaders let me know, it's like, hey, good investments teach people how to manage stress, right? The Vanguard Group can teach individuals to become better investors, manage the cash. And once those individuals learn, they can teach others. So you don't want to judge a book by its cover, even though they may not look, they have much. They can be a very good investor if you teach them right. But my last slide is my references. But overall, it's been a great time with you, Professor Hamilton, and I appreciate all that you've taught. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.